As we step into our 70s and beyond, we carry with us decades of memories, wisdom, and experience. But along with these gifts, many of us also carry weight, burdens that quietly drain our joy and peace. Some of these burdens are physical: closets filled with clothes we no longer wear, stacks of old magazines gathering dust, or souvenirs from trips long past that now serve no real purpose. But the heaviest burdens? They are often the ones we cannot see. Old regrets, outdated beliefs, grudges that no longer serve us, or the fear of change that keeps us from embracing the present. Life after 70 should not be about carrying unnecessary weight. It should be about lightness, freedom, and clarity. It's about creating space, both in our homes and in our hearts, for peace, happiness, and the things that truly matter. So today, let's talk about 5 things you must let go of to make your golden years truly golden. Some of these may surprise you, but each one will bring you closer to the peace and fulfillment you deserve. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, let's get started. 1. Let go of the need for approval. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Zrenia Brené Brown. From the moment we take our first steps, we are taught to seek approval. As children, we learn that a smile from a parent, a gold star from a teacher, or the acceptance of friends means we are doing something right. Over the years, this desire to be liked becomes ingrained. We adjust our words, our actions, even our dreams, to fit the expectations of others. We hold back our true thoughts to avoid conflict, nod along when we'd rather speak up, and say yes when every fiber of our being longs to say no. But after 70, it's time to ask yourself, who are you really living for? At this stage, you've seen enough of life to know a hard truth. No matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. Some people will disapprove, some will misunderstand, and others will judge without knowing the full story. And here's the secret: they always will. Trying to win the approval of everyone is like trying to catch the wind. Why waste your precious time chasing something you can never hold? Now is the time to shift your focus to something far more valuable than approval. Authenticity. Letting go of the need to please others doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means reclaiming your right to live on your own terms. Your time and energy are treasures. Why spend them on anything that does not bring you peace? Some people won't like this change, and that's okay. Those who have grown used to your constant accommodation may resist, even complain. But that is their burden, not yours. A lifetime of saying yes to everyone does not mean you owe the world an eternal performance. You are not responsible for managing the emotions of others at the cost of your own happiness. When you finally release this weight, something incredible happens. Life becomes lighter. Clarity replaces confusion. Your conversations become more honest. Your relationships, though fewer, become deeper and more meaningful. You no longer feel the need to perform or pretend. And the people who remain in your life, they are there because they truly value you, not because they expect something from you. After 70, your most valuable currency isn't money, it's time. Every moment spent worrying about what others think is a moment lost from truly living. You've earned the right to make your own choices, to set your own priorities, and to live without unnecessary obligations. So speak your mind without fear. Set boundaries without guilt. Live boldly, laugh loudly, and say no when you mean it. Let go of the weight of approval and step into the joy of finally being yourself, without hesitation, without apology, and without the burden of needing to be liked by everyone. At this stage of life, you don't need permission to live freely, you just need to choose it. 2. Release regret and embrace the present. By the time we reach 70, we have lived through an entire tapestry of experiences, some bright with joy and triumph, others woven with heartache and disappointment. It is impossible to walk through life without missteps, without moments that, in hindsight, we wish had gone differently. Perhaps there was a friend we lost touch with, a loved one we hurt, or a dream we set aside. It is easy to wonder, what if I had chosen differently? What if I had spoken up? What if I had been braver? But here's the truth. Regret changes nothing. It does not rewrite the past or undo what has already happened. Instead, it acts like a shadow, dimming the beauty of the present and preventing us from embracing what is still ahead. The weight of regret keeps us looking backward when life is calling us forward. It's like sitting in a car that only faces the rearview mirror. How can we expect to move toward anything meaningful when we are fixated on the road behind us? There's a reason regret lingers. It's trying to tell us something. Instead of seeing it as a punishment, what if we treated it as a signal, a lesson? If we feel regret over lost time with a loved one, it means we value connection. If we regret not taking better care of ourselves, it means we still have a chance to prioritize our well-being. If we regret not speaking up for ourselves, it means we long to live with more honesty and confidence. Take the story of Eleanor, a woman who spent years regretting her strained relationship with her younger sister. They had a falling out decades ago, and pride, stubbornness, and time built a wall between them. When she turned 72, Eleanor realized something. Her regret was keeping her stuck, but it was also showing her what she could do. She could reach out. She could not erase the past, but she could rewrite the ending. When she picked up the phone and made that call, her sister cried, and they reconnected. They could never recover the lost years, but they could cherish the time they still had. The message? Regret should not be an anchor that weighs us down. It should be a compass that points us toward what still matters. We often think of forgiveness as something we extend to others, but what about ourselves? We are so quick to offer understanding to loved ones who make mistakes, but when it comes to our own missteps, we are often our own worst critics. If a close friend came to us burdened with regret, would we condemn them? Or would we reassure them, remind them that life is not defined by one choice or one moment? If we can extend that kindness to others, why do we so often refuse to give it to ourselves? Holding on to regret is like grasping a burning coal. It only harms the one holding it. True peace comes not from punishing ourselves for the past, but from choosing to live differently now. The past is already written, but the present? That is still in our hands. There is still time to reconnect, to forgive, to experience joy, to make a difference. Every morning we wake up is another chance to live with intention. It doesn't matter if you are 70, 80, or 90. There is always a new sunrise, a new conversation, a new opportunity to live in a way that feels meaningful. Perhaps the greatest gift of age is the wisdom to know that life is too short to waste on regret. The past cannot be changed, but the final chapters of our story, they are still ours to write. If you're still watching this video and finding these tips helpful, comment the number 2 below to let me know you're here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 3. Remove toxic relationships. Relationships shape the course of a person's life, weaving moments of joy, love, and support into the years, but also at times, bringing stress, disappointment, and emotional exhaustion. By the time someone reaches 70, the patterns in relationships become clear. Some connections bring warmth and uplift the spirit, while others drain energy, create tension, and add unnecessary burdens. At this stage in life, there is no longer a reason to maintain relationships that bring more harm than good. Toxic relationships take many forms. Some people manipulate through guilt, making others feel responsible for their happiness. Others criticize constantly, chipping away at confidence and instilling doubt. Some friendships are one-sided, with the other person showing up only when they need something, disappearing as soon as their needs are met. And then there are those who thrive on conflict, who never let go of past grievances, who turn every interaction into a battlefield of tension and resentment. Over the years, These relationships may have been tolerated out of habit, obligation, or even fear of change. But history alone does not justify misery. Just because a relationship has lasted a long time does not mean it should last forever. Letting go of toxic people is not an act of cruelty, nor is it selfish. It is an act of self-respect. It does not mean wishing harm on anyone or holding on to resentment. It simply means choosing peace over unnecessary turmoil. The truth is, not everyone deserves a place in your life just because they have occupied it for a long time. Some will resist this change, especially those who have benefited from your constant patience and accommodation. They may react with disappointment, frustration, or even anger. But their reaction is not your responsibility. At this stage in life, you do not owe anyone continued tolerance at the expense of your own happiness. When toxic relationships are removed, space opens up for something far better. There is room for deeper connections with those who truly care, moments of solitude that feel peaceful rather than lonely, and a sense of freedom that only comes from no longer having to walk on eggshells. True friendships are not based on obligation, but on mutual respect, kindness, and understanding. These are the relationships worth nurturing, not the ones that deplete energy and fill life with stress. Life is too precious to be spent in the company of those who bring nothing but negativity. Every moment is valuable, every day an opportunity to choose peace, joy, and meaningful connections over unnecessary burdens. Letting go is not a loss, it is a gift to yourself, a step toward a life that is lighter, freer, and far more fulfilling. Fourth, overcome the fear of death. Did you know that studies show people who think about death in a healthy way tend to live happier, more fulfilling lives? Researchers have found that when people accept their mortality, they focus more on what truly matters, their relationships, their passions, and their sense of purpose, rather than wasting energy on things that don't bring them joy. Yet, many people spend their lives avoiding the thought of death, as if ignoring it might somehow delay its arrival. When we're young, it feels distant, something we don't need to think about. But after 70, later is no longer just an idea. It's something we can feel. And with that realization, fear often follows. Some people find themselves dwelling on it, worrying about what will happen when their time comes. But what if, instead of letting fear take over, we could use this awareness to make life richer, fuller, and more meaningful? Fear doesn't stop death. It only stops us from truly living. Society tells us to fight against aging, to resist the inevitable, to try every method to stay young for as long as possible. But no amount of resistance can change the simple truth. None of us will live forever. Instead of treating death as the enemy, what if we saw it as a reminder, one that urges us to make the most of the time we have left? Many of the world's greatest thinkers, from ancient philosophers to modern psychologists, have said the same thing. Remembering that life is temporary is not depressing. It's freeing. When we stop running from the idea of death, something incredible happens. We start to cherish every single day. The sound of a loved one's voice, the taste of a home-cooked meal, the warmth of the sun on our skin, all of it becomes more precious. The need to impress others, to accumulate more things, to chase after meaningless worries fades away. Instead, we focus on what truly matters: love, connection, laughter, and peace. One of the biggest reasons people fear death is regret. They look back and see unfinished business, conversations they never had, relationships they never mended, dreams they never pursued. But regret should not be a reason to feel paralyzed. It should be a reason to act now. If there's someone you love, tell them. If there's an old friend you miss, reach out. If there's a passion you put aside, pick it up again. There is still time to make things right, to create new memories, and to live with no loose ends. Death is not just an end, it's a deadline. But a deadline isn't something to be feared. It's something that makes us focus on what's most important. We don't need to outrun death. We need to meet it without regret, knowing that every moment leading up to it was truly lived. If you're still watching this video and finding these tips helpful, comment the number 4 below to let me know you're here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Number 5. Embrace change, it's never too late. One of the most damaging beliefs a person can hold is the idea that change is no longer possible. By the time someone reaches 70, it's easy to feel as though their habits, routines, and perspectives are fixed, as if who they are today is who they will always be. But this belief is not only limiting, it's simply untrue. Growth does not stop just because time has passed. The mind, the heart, and the spirit remain capable of transformation at any age. The moment a person believes it's too late to change, they surrender to stagnation, shutting themselves off from new experiences, insights, and possibilities. I saw this truth firsthand with my uncle, Richard. At 74, he had settled into a quiet, predictable life. He had always been passionate about music, but for years, he convinced himself that learning to play the piano was a dream best left behind. "My brain isn't what it used to be," he would say. "I'm too old to start something new." But one day, after some encouragement from his grandkids, he decided to take a lesson. At first, he struggled. His fingers were stiff, the notes seemed foreign, but little by little, he improved. What started as a hesitant experiment turned into a daily practice, and before long, he was playing entire songs with joy in his eyes. His excitement was contagious. He even played at a family gathering, laughing as he stumbled through a few wrong notes. "I wish I hadn't waited so long," he admitted, "but I'm sure glad I didn't wait any longer." Stories like Richard's remind us that age does not determine our ability to grow. Throughout history, people have reinvented themselves in their later years, discovering new passions, developing new skills, even embarking on new careers or relationships. The human brain remains adaptable, always capable of forming new connections and absorbing new information. The body, despite its limitations, can still be strengthened. And the heart, no matter how many scars it bears, can still open itself to joy, love, and deep connection. The idea that certain doors are closed simply because of age is a self-imposed prison, not a truth of reality. People often resist change because it is uncomfortable. There is security in routine, in the familiarity of old habits, even if those habits no longer bring joy or fulfillment. But comfort is not the same as happiness. A person may find themselves trapped in patterns that drain their energy, tied to relationships that no longer uplift them, or locked in a mindset that keeps them tethered to outdated fears and insecurities. Recognizing that change is possible means taking responsibility for how the remaining years are lived. It means refusing to settle for merely existing when there is still the potential to thrive. The question is not whether change can happen, it is whether the desire exists. There is no rule that says a person must stop learning, creating, or evolving after a certain age. Those who embrace change find that life remains vibrant, full of discovery and excitement. They reject the false notion that their best years are behind them and instead focus on making the most of what lies ahead. Aging is inevitable, but stagnation is a choice. The final chapters of life remain unwritten, and they can be shaped by curiosity, resilience, and the willingness to grow. Life is not just measured in years, but in the weight a person carries. By the time someone reaches 70, it becomes clear that the heaviest burdens are not physical, but mental and emotional. The expectations of others, the regrets of the past, the presence of toxic people, the fear of what is to come, and the false belief that change is no longer possible. These burdens accumulate over a lifetime, but they do not have to be carried forever. Letting go of them is not an act of loss, it is an act of liberation. When unnecessary weight is removed, everything becomes lighter. Conversations are no longer clouded by the need for approval, but filled with honesty. Relationships are no longer endured out of obligation, but cherished for their genuine value. Time is no longer spent dwelling on regret over what cannot be changed, but instead appreciating what still remains. The future is no longer feared, but embraced as an opportunity to live well. Letting go does not mean forgetting or rejecting the past. The past is a teacher, full of lessons, memories, and moments of joy, but it is not a place to remain stuck. The future, no matter how limited, is still an open door. A person who believes they are too old to change has already surrendered to decline, but a person who understands that every day is a new opportunity has chosen to continue living with purpose. There is peace in accepting what cannot be controlled and taking charge of what can. No one can control how much time remains, but they can control how they spend it. No one can undo past mistakes, but they can decide to stop carrying the weight of regret. No one can force others to change, but they can choose who deserves their energy. No one can stop death, but they can live in a way that leaves nothing unfinished. The final years of life should not be about waiting for the end. They should be about living fully, freely, and without unnecessary burdens. It is not too late to release what no longer serves you, to embrace what truly matters, and to walk forward with a lighter heart. The question is not how much time is left, but how that time will be used. That choice, even now, remains in your hands. The final chapters of your life should not be about waiting for the end. They should be about living with purpose, gratitude, and joy. Every day is a chance to choose happiness, to embrace freedom, and to walk forward without unnecessary burdens. The question is not how much time you have left, but how you will use the time that remains. And that choice, even now, is still in your hands. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment, hit the like button, and share it with your loved ones so they too can benefit from these valuable insights. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to Life Advice for You so you never miss out on more helpful content in the future. Thank you for watching, wishing you a wonderful day filled with order, peace, and happiness.